Ну что ж, приветствую всех. Снова с вами дедушка Мир. И мы продолжаем проходить эту игру. У нас последний финальный бой, можно сказать, в этой игре. Ну что ж, не будем затягивать удовольствие, продолжим. Мы остановились у этой двери. Ну что ж, посмотрим. А вот видите, надо 100. У нас было 84, а все упало до 64. И открыть мы эту дверь никак не сможем. А вот перед тем, как я играл, если предыдущую версию игры, эту дверь удалось скрыть, но не удалось скрыть компьютер. И игра постоянно вот такие вилки делает, потому что, чтобы не пропускать этот последний, я это уже в 4-й раз убеждаюсь. А ведь на самом-то деле, вот если посмотреть сейчас персонажа, посмотрим навыки, его, смотрите, было 84. Навыки все упали. Че это меня так сминусовало-то, блин? 84 очка. Опа-на. Так, давайте-ка зайдем в снаряжение. Смотрим, что у нас тут. Так. Ага. Похмелье. Видите, чем больше мы его применяем, тем больше похмелья, тем больше нам сминусовали сейчас все. Ох ты, посмотри, как все устроено. Оказывается, это все применять-то тоже довольно-таки. Так, ладно, давайте мы тогда. Все равно 2 осталось. Пена осталась. Этих осталось сколько? Разные эффекты. Что? Давайте вот этот поставим. Черт. И надеюсь, нам много не надо будет. Похмелье. О, черт. И вот это я как-то забыл совсем, что я сделал, конечно, у нас. Так, что у нас самое большое? Вот этот. Ну что ж. Надеюсь, это нам поможет вынести этого гаденыша. Ну что ж, понеслась. И сразу чего? Черт. Налетели со всех сторон. Опс. 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 Я и говорю, дронов будет немерено. Ну что ж, продолжаем. А вот видите, уже 90 стало. Пускай ребятки там разбираются. Перезарядки не хватает. Так, ребятки встали. Черт. Ладно, выйди с меня. А что на перезарядиться не дают? Бежим пока отсюда. Ну как-то мы... О! Все, и мои очухались. А мы довольно шустро управились. Я даже не ожидал. В прошлый раз я полчаса бегал. Соберем трофеи. Сколько этих комнат было? Сейчас посчитаем. Раз, два, три. Раз. 4. 6. 7. 10. 12. А что-то мне казалось, что их намного больше. Ладно, пойдемте. Но я сохранюсь. Хотя это, честно говоря, особо-то и... Ну все, мы прикончили всех, кого возможно.
You don't know how glad I am to see you. You did the right thing. Akande was a monster. Her death was much deserved, and long overdue. And you lunatic, you broke into the board's own fortress just to rescue one doddering old man. You are absolutely out of your mind, and I can't begin to thank you enough. What? Break into the most heavily guarded facility in the most hostile world in Halcyon? No, I have absolutely no idea how you did it. You're a goddamn miracle worker. You've broken the board's stranglehold on this colony, and you saved my life. But there's still so much we have yet to accomplish. You and I are going to have to work harder than ever to save Halcyon. I'm afraid the situation is far worse than any of us ever anticipated. I would like nothing more than to celebrate this victory, but we have a serious problem on our hands. Earth has gone dark. We haven't received a single message in 3 years. There's been no communication, no signals, nothing. 2 years ago, the Earth's Directorate's frigate disappeared on their way back to Earth. We don't know what they discovered when they arrived, or if they arrived at all.
They haven't exactly been hands-on around here anyway. So there's one less rubber stamp to worry about.
Earth is humanity's home planet, Miss Fenhill. The psychological effects of losing our original home will be devastating.
Earth is only an idea to us. But that idea is the bedrock the colony is built upon. If people were to find out it's gone dark, the shock could be too much to bear.
I don't want to imagine what'll happen once news gets out. Let's just keep this between us for now. We're in serious trouble, my friend. Do you know what this means for Halcyon? We can't rely on Earth for support anymore. We've been cut loose. We're entirely on our own.
Вот смотрите, всю игру я говорил о том, что Земля перестала выходить на связь 3 года. То корпорации вообще не знают, что делать и что предпринять. Они об этом знали. И то, что предстоит тяжелая работа, потому что мы практически, можно сказать, поломали машину всей коллегии, всей бюрократии. Да, работы предстоит немало, чтобы все начать как бы сначала. Давайте кое-что спросим.
Yes, certainly. I'll help however I can. I don't know what happened, but something must have gone horribly wrong. I don't know why Earth's gone silent. I don't even know if Earth exists anymore. We have no connection back to Earth, and return is likely impossible. We are completely alone out here. I heard it from Akande herself. She tried to pressure me into joining her side, you see. Tried to make me realize that all hope is lost, and that we are alone. She was half right. We are alone, and we're going to have to fend for ourselves, because there's no telling what's happened to Earth. You might have heard of the Earth Directorate's frigate. Half the colony's entire military was on that ship. They were returning to Earth when they vanished without a trace. That was 2 years ago. We haven't heard a word from them since. Whatever happened to Earth likely happened to them. Yes, we do. You've done a marvelous thing. You've succeeded where anyone else would have failed, including me. We must begin the revival process immediately, starting with the Hope's brightest minds. And then we're going to fix this damn colony, one problem at a time. We're going to need a leader, and I can't imagine a better person for the job than you. What do you say, old friend? Will you help us?
И вот опять, вот, как сказать, игра нас подводит к некоторым вот нашим, чтобы я приняла решение, какое решение приму, такая концовка и будет. И постоянно игра вот так вела нас. От одного решения к другому. Все зависит от принятия только ваших решений в игре. Я еще раз повторяюсь. Все в этой игре подчинено только вашему управлению. Как вы поступите, так и будет. То же самое касается персонажа нашего экипажа. Персонажей. Потому что стоит что-то кому-то запретить, кого-то не взять. Игра будет идти совсем по-другому. Концовки будут все разные. Неважно, хоть одного персонажа вы выкинете из экипажа, а концовка будет другой. Если вы, допустим, порвете, запретите встречаться, говорится, со старшей первопроходца, будет одна концовка. Так как мы разрешили, я даже не знаю, чем это сейчас закончится. В общем, смотрим. Вот сейчас от ответа зависит, я даже не знаю. Я знаю, вот, как закончится вот это. А вот это вообще без понятия. Ну давайте мы возьмем ту концовку, которую и она мне, кстати говоря, очень нравится.
I can't tell you how glad I am to hear that. When I revived you, I thought we were going to save this colony all by ourselves. But I was wrong. We can't save Halcyon on our own. We're all going to have to pull together, somehow. We are not a colony anymore. Our last connection to Earth has been severed. I don't know if we'll survive, but we're going to have to try our best.
Нам Финиас прав, что это уже сейчас не колония.
The OSI teaches that everything in the universe happens according to the grand plan.
Смотрим финал.
But the stranger that arrived in Halcyon was an unplanned variable. From the moment he landed in Emerald Vale, his actions altered the course of history. The events on Tartarus brought about the end of the board's authority. But the board's mistakes would haunt the colony for decades to come. The damage they left behind would require the work of a generation to repair. Dr. Phineas Wells began reviving a handful of the Hope's colonists, engineers, scientists, technicians, and intellectuals. They were among the brightest minds the Earth had ever sent out into the stars. The Hope scientists and engineers woke up in a colony descending headlong into total collapse. With no way to return to Earth, they had no choice but to band together and devote themselves to the cause of saving Halcyon. The people of Halcyon were nothing if not hardy. In the absence of the board's authority, many of the colony's settlements banded together with a single purpose in mind: survival. Life was especially hard in the years to come. Some towns dissolved by attrition and starvation, but most of them found a way to carry on. In the years to come, Halcyon was forced to reckon with its newfound freedom. The board was gone, and for better or worse, the colony was responsible for its own destiny. As the colony struggled to survive, the inspirational story of the iconoclasts spread like wildfire, and Graham was able to bring many of the smaller Territu townships into the fold. However, his zealous obsession with spreading the word blinded him to the needs of a growing organization, and the movement was unsustainable at scale. The iconoclast way seemed to work best, and ultimately petered out on Monarch. Bolstered by her status as savior of humanity, Lilia Hagen ushered sublight salvage to a new golden age. Her company grew bolder and more transparent over time, muddying the line between lawful and criminal for the entire colony. The sublight family would thrive for years to come. Over the years, the ruins of Edgewater caused irreversible environmental damage to the landscape of Emerald Vale, owing largely to the presence of toxic compounds in the town's building materials. As for Edgewater's former workers, their remains provided a source of nourishment for the region's fauna, leading to an explosion in the sprat population. The collapse of Edgewater left its workers bereft of any purpose in life. Most of them made their way to Adelaide McDevitt's camp, hoping to ingratiate themselves into her favor. Adelaide accepted only a few to her community. The rest were turned away and likely died of starvation. Nevertheless, Adelaide's camp grew into a well-established town. Adelaide McDevitt refused to cooperate with the ongoing effort to save Halcyon from collapse. A sympathetic deserter stole a copy of her research and delivered it to the Hope's scientists. It is unclear how useful Adelaide's research was. An optimistic estimate suggests her work may have bought Halcyon another few years of survival. Adelaide would never know. She died that winter. Under the leadership of Junlei Tennyson, the Groundbreaker held firm against corporate influence. The ship's mechanical stability gave Junlei the time to educate a promising generation of engineers, schooled in her family's traditions. The future of the Groundbreaker looks promising. The rediscovery of the Hope and the abandonment of the lifetime employment program forced Byzantium to come to terms with some uncomfortable realities about the state of Halcyon. While Byzantines were reluctant to surrender the luxuries they'd grown accustomed to, the board's diminished authority gave them little choice in the matter. Nearly everyone had to learn to make do with less. Some even had to get jobs. It was a dark time indeed. Your influence shifted Ellie's perspective. She finally admitted, albeit grudgingly, that she just might need other people. Sometimes. With a steady income from the life insurance payouts, she was finally able to afford a ship of her own. She hired a small crew and flew supply missions to communities on the fringe. Some of them were even legal. Life in Halcyon was sobering for Felix Millstone. The grand revolution he dreamed of never came. There was no great awakening for the colony, no celebrations in the streets. There was only the hard, desperate work of trying to repair a broken colony. Felix never had a head for numbers, but if there was labor to be done, he was there to help. Eventually, Felix realized that the work of a revolution was done with two hands. As much as he enjoyed his adventures aboard the Unreliable, the vicar, known as Max, eventually decided that it was time to move on, to live out the life he had sought so long to create. He knew there were many in the colony who carried burdens much worse than the ones he had struggled with, and he devoted himself to easing their suffering wherever he could. He only ever took up arms again to defend the defenseless. Unshackled from a lifetime of striving and fighting the universe and himself, Vicar Maximilian de Soto was finally at peace. Once the matter with the Hope colonists was resolved, Junlei bashfully asked Parvati if she'd like to join her permanently on the Groundbreaker, and Parvati enthusiastically, if somewhat awkwardly, agreed. The stories of her adventures spread across the colony, and Parvati soon found herself the center of attention. Having served as the engineer of a renowned spacecraft, tramp freighters and wildcat miners sought her out by name, and in no time, she was a fixture in the Groundbreaker's mechanical ecosystem. She and Junlei were never far apart. Nyoka returned to Monarch to take another crack at making a permanent life for herself. She formed the Charon Group, a mercenary outfit of ragtag survivalists and wilderness experts. Anyone in need of a guide, or just looking to throw back a beer and swap stories, could find her camping on the trail or clearing an infestation. The SAM unit that accompanied you spread awareness of the product line's superior sanitation and maintenance capabilities across what was left of the colony. This led to a boost in SAM unit sales. Did you know that SAM units are the longest-lasting, toughest-acting cleaning solution in Halcyon? Minister Clark was released from house arrest, and his contact with you gave him a sense of renewed purpose and vigor. Once it became clear that no help would be coming from Earth, he threw his considerable efforts and talents into helping Halcyon manage the crisis before it. As for Dr. Phineas Wells, he spent his remaining years in his orbital lab. Though he was always haunted by the failures of his past, he was determined to make things right by building toward the future. Dr. Wells was able to revive many more scientists and engineers than he first expected, thanks to the additional batch of chemicals you stole from the Ministry. Wells never forgot about the human lives that were lost in acquiring these chemicals. The revival project was hard and painful work, but in the end, despite limited resources, over half the Hope's colonists were successfully revived. Even after Wells passed away, the Hope scientists and engineers worked night and day to pull Halcyon from the brink of collapse. Their efforts continue to this day, which may be reason enough for optimism. Dr. Wells laid the groundwork for the project to save the colony, but he would never live to see the fruits of his labor. He passed away a few years later. His work was carried on by the scientists and engineers he revived. Life will never be the same in Halcyon. It is widely agreed that the colony has a chance of stabilizing within a generation, owing to the hard work and determination of the surviving colonists. Recovery is a distant goal, and the path is long and uncertain. But the people of Halcyon carry on, determined as ever. And what about you, the unplanned variable in the history of Halcyon? Long after Wells passed away, you carried on his work with more energy, determination, and brilliance than he could ever muster. The years that followed were hard, but Halcyon survived by the efforts of the Hope's most promising colonists, the greatest of which was you. No one knows what's happened to Earth, and no one knows what the future has in store for Halcyon. All we know for certain is this: the name of the Unreliable and that of its intrepid captain will remain the subject of countless stories for years to come.
Ну что ж, мы посмотрели, пожалуй, наверное, самые интересные, я поставлю сейчас на балу. Да, кстати говоря, во многом даже для меня была неожиданная эта концовка, многого я не видел до этого, поэтому я еще раз говорю, как проведете игру, такую концовку получите. Вот смотрите, Парватия тут осталась ушла на первопроходе. А вот предыдущей версии игры, которую я играл, так говорить, чтобы побольше раскрыть эту игру, чтобы подготовиться к записи, она осталась у нас на первопроходце. Там совсем другая концовка. Не было концовки про иконоборцев, которых мы отдали отдали. Поэтому все, еще раз говорю, что еще тут? Ну, многое что изменилось. Вот я даже, честно говоря, сам с увлечением посмотрел этот ролик и понял кое-что еще. Оказывается, я еще очень многого не знаю об этой игре. Поэтому я, наверное, еще раз когда-нибудь в нее сыграю. Поэтому мы данную серию на этом закончим. Наверное, немножко Владимир. Но я обещаю, что это будет не последняя серия, потому что есть еще одна и очень интересная концовка. Я просто напомню о том, что помните, что время игры или нас всегда толкало в другой путь. Как бы сказать, не думайте, парюши, а сидите в дороге, думать о других. И вот, я в скором времени сниму дополнительные серии на эту тему. Так что, приятного вам дальнейшего просмотра. С вами был дедушка Владимир. До скорых встреч.